Hey there, my Equalizer fans. It's your girl Barbie J here. And sorry I am late, but y'all know I've been going through. I told you I haven't had my water in my house for like 3 weeks. So I have really been going through it, fighting with people and trying to get things taken care of and calling politicians and other departments trying to report these people. It's been ongoing drama, you know. But anyway, that is why I'm late and I am sorry, okay, about that. But anyway, we are talking about the Equalizer Season 3, Episode 12, Lost and Found. So, this was another good episode. At first, I was saying, oh, I didn't think this was such a great episode. But when I watched it a second and a third time, because I had to watch it that many times because I kept forgetting everything that was happening because of the drama in my house. So anyway, but it was really actually a good episode. So let me do this quick recap real quick. And before I get started, let me just go that if you haven't subscribed to my channel as of yet, please take a moment right now and hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all. It will let you know every time I upload a new video. Then I ask that you like my video, hit that thumbs up, write a comment and share. And also, you know what, guys? What also helps my channel to grow is y'all let some of those ads play. Some of them play for a long time. You know, they put those in. That also helps my channel. I just wanted to let y'all know and throw that little bit in there. Anyway, let's get started. So, this episode is about a man who claims he lost his memory and didn't know who he was. And I'm sitting there going, Actually, I watched this episode with a friend, and we both were sitting there tearing that episode apart. I was like, they too trusting in this man. But anyway, I'm glad it ended the way it did, and it worked out. So it starts with Robin. She's having this dream that was really, that started off crazy. She's having this dream that she was being beaten by someone while tied up and helpless. And when the thug, heard Aunt Vi and Delilah coming into the house, the thug hid. But it sounded like he was saying, where are they? Where are they? And she wouldn't tell. So anyway, he hid behind, like in the other room. So when they came in and saw Robin tied up, it seemed like they were still smiling, and the thug who was behind her was herself in all black, like a mask. That was deep. So, I think she mentioned the dream to Harry, and he was like, dreams do have something to do with your subconscious, but he never said what it was. Anywho, so Robin wakes up frantic about it. She was like, oh man, it was crazy. She was like in a cold sweat. So now it's morning, and Robin, Delilah, and Via in the kitchen, and Robin is telling Dee that there will be a change in her training with Mel. She tells her that she needs to train on her fundamentals or something like that, which is the stamina and the patience and her technique, which are all necessary to build a firm foundation. And the best discipline for that, she said, is boxing. So she had told her she had Detective Dante set her up with the best boxer in the city to train her. And Delilah wasn't interested at first, thinking she would have to start over, from the beginning. But then went along with it after Aunt Vi dropped some knowledge on her, saying, my father used to say that if you take shortcuts, eventually you're going to get cut short. I said, oh, okay now. So then Robin gets, at this point gets a text from Harry, and she tells them she has to go to work and leaves, telling Dee to, like stay alert at all times. Always know who's coming at you. Anyway, so then Robin meets with a man who doesn't know who he is and where he's from, and he has no ID. And Robin asks him, why didn't he go to the police? And he says because he woke up in a dumpster with a gun in his pocket and didn't know if he had done something terrible. And before he said the gun, he was pulling it out of his pocket to show Robin, and she jumped up and unarmed him real quick. And he didn't even think the gun was loaded, but it was. That's why he had to be careful. So then Dee meets up with Detective Dante at the boxing gym. I like now that they have this relationship and stuff. And the way his eyes light up when he sees her and smiles. I think he's seeing, Robin when he looks at her. I'm just saying, y'all, I ain't trying to start nothing, but I'm just saying he's like, And then when he introduces her, he meets her at the gym, and he helped, you remember that gym? That's the same boxing gym that Dante helped save. as we saw in a previous episode. If y'all don't remember, that's when Dante had gotten that lump sum from what those white cops did to him out in that town, that small town. And then Dante moved into and got a house, and he had all this money. And the boxing Manny, that gym, he was saying he was going to lose it because he didn't have any money. He stays behind in bills. And he's at the end of the episode, he received this check or something that had his gym paid off. And it was from Dante. I was like, man, oh Shevitz. Anyway, Dante introduced Delilah to Manny and says she's the daughter of a good friend of his. I was like, a good friend who I'd love to be a better friend, who I'd love to be my boo thing. I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm just saying that's what we are hoping for. So he tells her, he has to give her the special workout. And they like the special workout. She's like, what's that? So what it is he has Dee practicing on her footwork by going around and around in circles with her footing. And he told her that she had to do it 500 times. While she's doing that, Dee meets a young male boxer named Jackson who is practicing for the Junior Olympics. And he was informing Delilah about her stands being too wide. And he told her her name is pretty and that it suits her. And she smiled, and they had a little bit more, small talk. And that was it until later on that day when Dee saw him doing a drug deal in the gym. And he caught her watching and then quickly walked over to her and told her that it's none of her business and not to tell Manny. And she apologized for watching it, being nosy. And then he started to explain why he was doing this side hustle, trying to make money so he could continue coming to the gym. And she understood, however, she told him there is always another way. And she relayed to him what Aunt Vi had just said to her that morning about taking shortcuts. So she suggested that he tells Manny what's going on because he said Manny was the real deal. Anyway, meanwhile, back with the mystery man, he takes Robin back to the dumpster he woke up in with the bump on his head. And she's trying to see if anything jogs his memory. Then she gets a call from Dante who gives her an update on Dee and informs her that he got a hit on the mystery guy's prints. And they find out his name is Roy Hayes and his address is in a small town in Michigan. So Robin asks him to send the info to Harry to see if he could find out anything else about him by poking around in that small town. So she lets him know his name and she asks how he feels when he looks at the dumpster. This guy who's supposed to be Roy. And he tells her he feels scared. And not long after he said that, a black car drives by and shoots at them. So they go back to the bar and Mel gives him some of Harry's clothes to wear. And Roy feels, he's looking at himself like, not to complain, but these are weird. She's like, I know they're my husband's, and Mel asking him to be careful with the sweater he's wearing because it's expensive. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, then why the heck you giving him an expensive sweater of your husband's after he just got shot at? Hello? Wouldn't you give him something else, something different? It made no sense to me. You telling him, don't stretch it, don't do this, don't do that, but you gave it to him to wear. There's nothing else in the closet, Anyway, then Roy shows Mel and Robin a tattoo he has of a lion and a date and some freaky manscaping on his chest, which they're like, ooh, which is it has them all confused, even him. And at this point, Mel recognizes a red stamp on his hand from a club called Sanctuary. So she takes him back to that club. And while in front of the spot, a hooker sees them and starts to run in these high heels. And Mel catches up to her. She runs and catches up to her and then questions her as to why she was running. And Nina, the hooker, admits that she took his money clip last night. And then Roy remembers Nina. And he said, you whispered in my ear that you was in love with me and wanted to get married or something like that. So she was like, hey, I can't help but trying, or something like that. So he was excited to have remembered something. He was real excited. And Mel's like, do you remember anything else? And he was like, no. So Mel made Nina hand over the money clip and there was a Valor Motel business card or something attached to it. So since Roy was from out of town, Mel figured maybe that's where he was staying. So they went there. So back at the Bat Cave, we got Harry. He pays, close attention to the electronic footprint of Roy's life. And he determines that Roy's info is fake. He said it seems that it was invented and that he's not Roy Hayes. And we later learned that he was in a witness protection program or something. So then Dante calls Robin and lets her know that the ballistics came back on that gun that Roy had, and it was used in a murder 5 days ago. I was like, oh, snap. So at this point, Mel is at Roy's hotel room and opens the door as, Robin called her and gave her that message. And when she opens the hotel room door, she sees blood everywhere. So now Roy is thinking that he's a terrible person, that he did something bad. And then they find out info about that tattoo, and they go to the tattoo parlor to check it out, but it's closed. But then the area seemed familiar to him, to Roy, so he kept walking around, and Mel told him that just to keep going. He kept walking around until he stopped in front of this house that seemed to have been a crime scene. So Mel calls Dante to find out what actually happened there, and he lets her know that there was a homicide there, and the victim was shot and his tongue was cut out 10 days ago. I said, oh, snap. I kind of got grossed out from that. So he wants to talk to Roy because the number of murders he's connected to keeps growing, he said. So she's like, she promises once they figure this out, she'll definitely do that. He said, I'm going to hold you to it. So Mel asked for a picture of the victim, and, for Dante to send her a picture of the victim, like maybe a driver's license or whatever. And she shows it to Roy and to see if he recognized the person, and he's blinking, squeezing his eyes. And then all of a sudden he realizes that that's his father. And it's Art Davies. So he's thinking, that's my father. He could tell me who I am. He could tell who I am. But then Mel had to let him know that his father was killed there at that house 10 days ago. And she tells him that she thinks he came to town. She thinks Roy came to town to get revenge, and thinks that he may have gotten it based upon the blood that they saw in his hotel room. So he's kind of freaking out behind that stuff. Then from checking into Arthur Davies, they learned that Roy's real name is Eric Davies. And Robin asked Harry if there were any suspects in Art Davies' murder. And Harry tells her Rodolfo Martinez. And Robin says, hey, what's the last name of that guy who we saw put in the trunk? And he said Martinez. Then they realized that guy who tried to take them out that morning was Rodolfo Martinez, because they sent a picture of what he looks like. Anyhow, they figured out that Eric was put in a witness protection program, because he witnessed Adolfo killing somebody. And there was something else. And the guy that Eric put in the trunk of the car was Rodolfo's brother, Pedro. So Robin and Harry, checked the hotel surveillance camera, and that's how they saw Roy Eric now putting that body in the trunk of a car. So Robin is looking for that car, and they find it parked on the street. And when she opens the trunk, Pedro is still in there alive. So Eric is not a killer, and he was shot in the knee, and Eric even bandaged him up well. But he was so rude and nasty to Robin. She got the info she wanted from him, and then closed the trunk and left his behind back in there, because he was like, you know who my brother is? You know who I am? She's like, you should be saying thank you. He did a nice tourniquet, and you should be saying thank you to a person who just opened the trunk, and you've been stuck in here all night, you stupid. So she left him in there to suffer. Anyway, then Mel and Harry, they're at the Bat Cave, trying to make sense out of all of it. And then Mel realizes the bizarre chest hair on Eric, and puts two and two together. So they think Eric was trying to get Rodolfo to confess, and must have been wearing a wire. That's why he had those bald spots on his chest. And they're saying things must have went sideways, so Eric probably had to run for his life and jumped into that dumpster to hide and hit his head on that something metal in there, and got a concussion. And that's how he lost his memory. So that was that part. And then we have, Mel shared that Eric got so emotional that he wouldn't even leave the house. So she called Dante and asked him to send a uniformed cop so that Eric could, go inside the house to see if it would spark some memories for him. Then they figured, with Rodolfo out there looking for him, he would be passing by at some point to try to kill him. So they had Dante call the officer, away. And that's when Rodolfo took his, Rodolfo, whatever his name is, took his opportunity to go inside and kill Eric, because he thought he was alone. and he left his partner outside on the front step to keep watch. And when he got inside and told Eric to turn around, it was actually Harry. But I was sitting there going, what if he would have just shot him in the back and didn't ask him to turn around? That would have been messed up unless Harry had on a bulletproof jacket or something, a vest. Anyway, so it was Harry, and then Robin came up behind Rodolfo and put a gun to the back of his head and tells him to toss his damn piece to the floor. And then Eric ran and picked up the gun and pointed it at Rodolfo like he was going to shoot him. And Robin's trying to talk him out of doing it and taking revenge and telling him his life would be over and so would yours. And he didn't care. He was like, I don't care if my life is over. He killed my father. And then Harry shows him a picture on his phone and say, look, I called your job, and I asked them, do anybody know anything about you? And they told me, this is your son. You have a son and a girlfriend back home. And he told him that the date on his arm was by that tattoo is his son's birthday. So Eric is like, I got a son. And then he started realizing that, he has a child, and they had an audio playing message for him saying, I love you, Daddy, please come home. And it really helped to spark like more memories for him. And he's like, I remembered him. So when Robin turned her head to focus on Eric, Rodolfo tried to grab her gun, and she knocked him down to the floor with her a hit from her right elbow. Poof, knocked him down and then kicked him in his face. She thanked him for moving too, because she told him he better not move. And when he moved, she got a chance to bust him up the way she wanted to do. I said, you better go ahead, Robin. And his partner was outside, was about to go into the house when Mel steps in front of him and points a gun in his face and said, let's you and me just hang out here for a bit. I said, hey, Mel, do your thing. Go on, Melly, do your thing. Anyway, so then meanwhile, back at the gym, that drug dealer came back and Manny stepped to him and informed him that no business is conducted at his gym ever. And the drug dealer said, that sounds like an old rule from an old man. And Manny told him to step back or he will find out just how old he is. And the dealer took a swing at him and Manny gave him an old man combo. Poop, 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 poop. And the dealer said, it's not over, old man. Then Manny told Jackson he did the right thing by coming to him and to stay focused on his training. And then Jackson threw his arms around Manny and hugged him for about 15 seconds. Man, y'all. And Manny said, I got you. Honey, let me tell y'all something. I don't know what it is about when a young man hugs another man. It's just so moving and touching to me. Women will do that in a heartbeat, but men act like they not supposed to be that emotional or something like that and a huggy feeling with each other. But that touched me. That really touched me. Anyway, it ends with Rodolfo and his boy getting arrested. Robin thanking Dante for his help taking down Rodolfo, and then thanking him for hooking Dee up with Manny. And Dante tells her, this is the good part, y'all, when Dante tells her Manny will be good for Delilah and that she is an impressive young lady. And he steps closer, like into, Robin's personal space and tells her, that's because of you. And Robin says, thank you, Marcus. She didn't say it like that. She said, thank you, Marcus. I'm sorry. She said it real soft, though. As they were staring, admiringly at each other before she walks away. Then we see Eric is on the phone talking to his girlfriend and then tells Robin thank you for believing him and that he is on the first flight back to Michigan. So then Robin gets home and Dee and Vi are playing a game and they invite her to play with them. And Robin asks Dee about her training with Manny and Dee tells about it and then brags about Manny boxing for the welterweight championship. And Robin shares she once saved 5 Afghanistan villages from being bombed. And Delilah just like, I can't top that. Or Vi just laughed. And then she mentions, tell her what else happened. And she mentions that she met a boy. And Robin said, there it is. That's why she want to go back to the gym. And she said, sit down and tell me all about him. And that's what they did. And that's how it went off. So it was a pretty nice episode. I enjoyed it. Y'all let me know down in the comment section what y'all thought about it. I like this episode. It was really sweet, but I watched it 3 times. So I got more and more into it each time and saw new things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.